Richard Dreyfuss concealed the true cause of his most infamous public outburst for half a century. In May 2024, he stepped onto a stage in Massachusetts and uttered remarks that prompted families to exit the venue in distress. People believed they understood the trigger for his eruption, but they were mistaken. Now at 77, he's at last revealing the actual source of his fury that evening. It originated from a telephone conversation 3 days prior. An individual from his history reached out to him. The information they shared altered his perspective entirely. The breakdown had nothing to do with political matters. It stemmed from disloyalty. Richard Dreyfuss entered the world on October 29, 1947. However, his narrative commenced well before his birth. His dad, Norman, matured in a Brooklyn neighborhood dominated by criminal gangs, an environment where resilience was essential for endurance. In later years, Norman established himself as a reputable lawyer and managed a dining establishment, yet echoes of his earlier life persisted. The ancestral heritage extended beyond a mere tough New York attitude. Richard eventually discovered that his great-grandmother was Gessia Gelfman, among the insurgents who killed Tsar Alexander II in 1881. She alone evaded the death penalty. Thus, from Russian revolutionaries to urban brawls in the city, aggression wasn't merely a portrayal in his performances. It was ingrained in his lineage. His mom, Geraldine Dreyfuss, represented the antithesis. She dedicated herself to anti-war causes, constantly opposing the turmoil her spouse had escaped. And Norman wasn't solely toughened by his youth. A shell blast amid World War II during the Battle of the Bulge inflicted lasting wounds. He relied on crutches and donned military-provided footwear until his passing. This blend of rugged history and forward-thinking principles influenced Richard from a young age. It manifested in his later characters, everyday individuals fracturing under strain, inwardly conflicted. It wasn't pretense. He'd dwelled close to that brink since boyhood. At merely 9 years old, a pivotal change occurred. The year was 1956, and typical lads his age engaged in tree climbing or bicycle rides. But Richard was already convinced of his destiny as a performer. Not aspiring to it, he was assured he would achieve it. Then his father's disdain for New York sparked a familial relocation. They departed Queens, journeyed through Europe, and ultimately settled in Los Angeles. Yet this wasn't an idyllic trip. Norman was fleeing his background, pulling the entire household along. Richard, ensnared in the midst, continued pursuing his ambition. Following relocations from place to place, he enrolled at Beverly Hills High School. There, he began treading the boards at Temple Emmanuel's Arts Center and subsequently at the West Side Jewish Community Center, mentored by theater instructor Bill Miller. While most adolescents enjoyed consistency, Richard experienced perpetual upheaval, but his enthusiasm only intensified. By age 18, the Vietnam conflict was ensnaring peers. But Richard took a courageous step. He proclaimed himself a pacifist refuser. Rather than marching to combat, he devoted 2 years to labor in a Los Angeles medical facility, aiding others as society unraveled. This spanned roughly 1965 to 1967. Days were spent in healthcare duties. Evenings were for seeking acting opportunities. Minor parts in series such as Peyton Place, Gidget, Room 222, and Bewitched. He attended San Fernando Valley State College briefly for a year, but the hospital responsibilities and screen gigs soon dominated. He avoided demonstrations and weaponry alike. He selected an alternative route, silent contribution by day and stage pursuits at night. He was essentially forging his profession away from the war front. His initial significant screen debut arrived in 1964 at age 15. He featured in a production titled In Mama's House, though he'd appeared in Peyton Place beforehand. That marked his first compensated appearance. Typical teens fretted over academics. Richard was already employed, and not all family members approved. His father, grappling with combat scars and unfulfilled aspirations, opposed his offspring's vocation. The friction escalated until it fractured. At 21, Norman abandoned the household. They ceased communication before Norman's demise. Thus, amid Richard's initial triumphs, he bore that estrangement. His ascent to stardom unfolded as his home life disintegrated. Throughout this period, he cultivated a distinctive approach to his craft. While peers wrote learned dialogues and adhered to conventions, Richard immersed in spontaneous creation at the Jewish Community Center. These weren't standard lessons. They were sessions teaching presence in a moment, reacting instinctively sans script. He held that performance skills couldn't be imparted via lectures. They required experiential immersion. That authentic, instinctive method became his hallmark in subsequent decades. In 1967, he secured his inaugural cinematic part in The Graduate. Merely a single utterance. "Shall I get the cops? I'll get the cops." Yet that picture amassed $104.9 million in ticket sales, equivalent to almost $857 million nowadays. Few spotted him then, but countless viewers unwittingly observed the debut film instant of a future Oscar recipient within a decade. He was 19, a background figure in a lodging sequence, and filmmaker Mike Nichols was unaware he captured the forthcoming lead of Jaws and Close Encounters. The following year, he clinched his first starring position in The Young Runaways, nearly derailing his trajectory. The production flopped spectacularly. Dreyfuss, aged 20, portrayed a 32-year-old counterculture evader of conscription, spouting odd lines like, "I'm all hung up in my own hassles, baby." Reviewers demolished it. They critiqued the performances, soundtrack, script, everything as abysmal. The conversations didn't resemble authentic 1960s vernacular, penned by a 51-year-old oblivious to youthful trends. It evolved into a niche mockery, but for Dreyfuss, it delivered a harsh education. Headlining doesn't guarantee merit. By 1973, momentum shifted. He embodied babyface Nelson in Dillinger, a ferocious, erratic character that seized notice. He didn't simply enact it. He delved into genuine FBI dossiers, absorbing details on the figure who slain more operatives than any other. Nelson stood short at 5 feet 4 inches with a lust for violence. Dreyfuss embraced that, depicting him as a thrill killer. It was unsettling. The funding was modest at $1.5 million. Dreyfuss earned $25,000, but his portrayal shone. Spielberg took heed. Soon after, Jaws beckoned. A year on in 1974, the apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz plunged him further. The tale tracked a Jewish youth escaping destitution in Montreal's Jewish enclave, a narrative resonating with Dreyfuss's ancestry. His kin hailed from Austria and Hungary, grasping the struggle for advancement. The book languished undeveloped for over 15 years. Executives deemed it overly cultural for broad appeal. But upon realization, Dreyfuss invested fully. Compensated $50,000, he garnered acclaim, notably from Pauline Kael. The feature highlighted 1940s Montreal anti-Semitism and encapsulated a lad's fierce ambition to thrive. It demonstrated his capacity to anchor profound dramas linked to his origins. Then arrived American Graffiti. George Lucas spotted Dreyfuss in an unaired Happy Days pilot. Thus, he landed as Kurt Henderson. The venture boasted a scant $777,000 allocation, filmed over 28 nights in Petaluma Post, another locale revoking permission. Dreyfuss pocketed $25,000, and it reaped $140 million globally. His persona, pursuing an enigmatic blonde in a white Thunderbird, echoed Lucas's adolescent days in Modesto. Initially, Universal aimed to shelve it, but triumphant previews propelled Happy Days to broadcast for synergy. Dreyfuss depicted the contemplative member, pondering departure for higher education or remaining. The part resonated universally. Richard Dreyfuss never initially sought celebrity, but 1975 transformed all with his portrayal of Matt Hooper, the sharp-tongued ocean expert in Jaws. Production was chaotic. Commencing May 1974 on Martha's Vineyard, it extended to October. Robotic sharks malfunctioned repeatedly, compelling Spielberg to conceal the beast more than reveal it. That choice amplified terror. Dreyfuss shared gripping exchanges with Robert Shaw, particularly the eerie USS Indianapolis recount. It became cinematic legend. Oddly, Dreyfuss later deemed Jaws tedious. He avoids discussing it, finding it uninteresting. Nonetheless, it shattered records as top earner until Star Wars 2 years hence. Inflation adjusted, about $1.5 billion, redefining seasonal hits. Abruptly, Dreyfuss transcended actor status. He was iconic. 2 years later, 1977 brought Close Encounters of the Third Kind, another Spielberg collaboration. He was Roy Neary, a regular guy disintegrating post-enigmatic UFO encounter. Spielberg conceived it in 1973. It cost nearly $20 million, yielding over $300 million worldwide. Dreyfuss conveyed a man unraveling, constructing a massive Devil's Tower replica in his home as kin deserted. Not merely intense, it was poignant. Spielberg mused if alien dialogue was feasible, perhaps Soviet talks during Cold War II. It elevated Dreyfuss's stature. That year, he surprised with Romance. The Goodbye Girl, helmed by Herbert Ross, scripted by Neil Simon, cast him as Elliot Garfield, a striving thespian cohabiting with a lady and her child. Humorous, tender, genuine, it triumphed. In 1978, he claimed youngest Best Actor Oscar at 30. The comedy surpassed $100 million, huge for its genre. Audiences adored him beyond Jaws' intensity, as charismatic and exposed in Love Tales. In 1978, amid Goodbye Girl acclaim, Dreyfuss opted for contrast. In The Big Fix, he was Moses Wine, a sleuth entangled in lingering 1960s activism. More than mystery, it was intimate. Dreyfuss engaged politically, infusing zeal. It didn't dominate sales, but highlighted versatility and risk-taking for convictions. Then, 1980s The Competition. Dreyfuss as piano virtuoso. Twist. He knew no notes initially. So, for daily hours for 2 months. Producers demanded precision with experts. Every gesture authentic. Once, an actress placed wine on piano. Coach recoiled in horror. That intense. It depicted cutthroat classical realm, showcasing Dreyfuss's commitment to immersion. In 1981, Whose Life Is It Anyway? Deepened. As quadriplegic sculptor post-crash, he addressed euthanasia controversy. Character rejected machine dependency. Film questioned control, medics or sufferers. Critics noted humor amid agony. It sparked debates on terminal autonomy. After hiatus, 1980 SIX's Down and Out in Beverly Hills revived him. With Bette Midler, Nick Nolte in Disney's debut R-rated Under Touchstone. Largely ad-libbed farce, beloved. Top opener, $60+ million on $14 million. Major resurgence post-addiction woes. Next, 1987's Tin Man. As B.B. Babowski, citing Peddler feuding with Danny DeVito post-Fender Bender. Petty spat escalates to vendetta, involving spousal seduction. Witty, incisive, yet profound. Defeated men seeking victory amid life's losses. Ultimately, both ruined professionally, perhaps rediscovering self. In 1989, Spielberg reunion for Always, 1943 remake. As deceased pilot turned spectral guide. Audrey Hepburn's swan song. Spielberg long desired it. His divorce coincided emotionally. Themes: release, affection, mortality, Dreyfuss embodied. Yet, prior frictions resurfaced, collaboration strained. Dreyfuss's private sphere match drama. 1983, met Jeremy Rain at Gathering. Wed after 10 days. Daughter Emily born same year. Son Benjamin 1986, but eyes anomalous. Peter's anomaly diagnosed, lost one eye's sight. Devastated Dreyfuss, life's rawest instant. Third child Henry 1990, but union dissolved. By 1995, Jeremy departed with offspring. Strain extended set side. 1991's What About Bob? Infamous clash with Bill Murray. Murray bellowed hatred, lobbed ashtray narrowly missing. Also dunked producer in lake, smashed glasses. Dreyfuss labeled him intoxicated tyrant and swine. Long shunned film mentions. 2020, pondered forgiveness note. In 2001, the education of Max Bickford as sobering educator. $100,000 per episode. But series faltered. Pioneered HD filming. Tackled trans issues, campus intrigue, yet viewership tanked. CBS axed producers swiftly, canceled post-season. 2008's W. As Dick Cheney for Oliver Stone. Stone-eyed Robert Duvall first. Dreyfuss stepped in, sparks flew. Constant battles. Dreyfuss publicly lambasted director. Defended Cheney, faulted public inaction in Bush era. Film tanked. Under $30 million versus $25 million. At 63, 2010's Red surprised. Action with stunts himself. As dealer Alexander Dunning beside Bruce Willis, Helen Mirren. 3-month prep, bruises, no doubles. $199 million, globe nod. Role for 40s originally, proved age irrelevant. 2016's Madoff miniseries, as Bernie Madoff. 6 months pouring records, interviews, testimonies. Shed 15 pounds, silver hair. Death threats from victims opposing dramatization. Critics lauded humanizing without absolving. 2019 at 72, astronaut, elder chasing space dream. Echoed his age, depression fights. Bipolar disclosed. Shot 24 days in frigid Canada. Low-key, but graceful, timeless dreamer. Richard Dreyfuss once peaked with Jaws, Close Encounters. But 1982 veered perilously. Blacked out driving Mercedes 450 SL, crashed into Palm in Benedict Canyon. Awoke inverted, belted, unrecalled. Debris held coke, Percodan. Arrested. Haunted by visions. Girl in pink frock, horn rims. Appeared oddly, even festivities. Dread-inducing. November 19th, 1982. Quit narcotics abruptly. Year later exact. Daughter born in horn rims. Dreyfuss unsure if spared child or warning apparition. Not all conflicts internal. 2012 lawsuit versus father, uncle. 2 decades prior. Loaned $870,000 for alleged crisis. No crisis. Secretly bought 13-floor LA edifice. Dreyfuss uninformed. Funded third, yet claimed 10%. 2009 $5.5 million win. He got zilch. Second suit. 2008 prior. Stunning. Fame didn't shield familial deceit. 2024 tension viralized. Jaws Massachusetts screening. Harsh trans rights remarks, walkouts. Son Ben tweeted family outrage. Clarified jest re-sister's android. Yet revealed discord. Ben supported despite differences. Modern clan drama tweeted live. Before 2008 Civics Initiative launch. Admitted youthful gov ignorance. For Oxford years for curriculum. Emphasized narratives, dialogues. Texas trials birth student sons/daughters of Liberty clubs. Nonpartisan. Atonement for civic neglect. Struggles traced to 1975 Jaws. Shaw viewed Dreyfuss as arrogant novice sans theater. Tormented. Insults. Mass dare for $100. Spielberg called Shaw obsessed. Roy Scheider. Shaw sought humbling. Authentic rivalry enhanced on screen. 2008 echoed with Stone on W. Dreyfuss. Stone fascist, Hannity-like. Admitted paycheck motive. Stone. Line forgets, cue cards. 2014 Dreyfuss. Stone bitter sans Oscars. 2017 Me Too. Jessica Tyke alleged harassment. 1987 exposure. Dreyfuss denied exposure. Admitted mutual flirtation misread. Complicated. Days prior, tweeted backing son Henry's spacey accusation. groping at 18. Hypocrisy noted. Woes continued. May 2023 PBS. Raged Academy diversity mandates. Vomitus to dictate casting. Defended historic blackface. Why pander sensitivities? Hollywood Blaze. Months prior. Insane barring him black roles. Interviews entrenched stance. Pivotal night. May 25, 2024. Jaws event, Massachusetts. Entered floral dress over attire, swaying swift. Shed dress. Kana's bad. Unleashed perceived venom. Slammed Me Too, Streisand passive, mocked trans youth, LGBTQ, assault survivors. Families fled, 10-year-old wept. Venue apologized emails. 3 days later, anti-bias event scheduled. Irony. Hosted misogyny, homophobia. Been mediated online. Explaining sans excusing, family mortified. Tweets headlined. Fallout rapid. Bookings nixed, contact silent. Agent managed cancellations over gigs. Dreyfuss unapologetic. Isolation mounted. Past piles, blackface, Oscars, Stone, Jaws, all compounded. July 2025 shock. Hospitalized viral bronchitis. Canceled Shark Con, Florida. Video, bedridden, frail, forgetful in Jaws rap. Needed wife prompt for ailment. Beeps, weary gaze. First sighting year plus, evident shift.